All right, everyone, welcome back into another Prize Picks video, touching on the top prop bets for this Taco Tuesday. All right, so looking at this, they just made this taco available. It is down from the 11.5 strikeouts total. Yes, we're just going to roll with that. And if anything, guys, Prize Picks is going to give us some good discounts, I would say, this today, because the last couple of weeks, last few weeks, been a little spotty on their part, so they don't want to make their customers too angry. Okay, so I think we're going to get some good ones. Obviously, we're going to be rolling with this. Let's find the other props that we can use with that. And so I do want to start out with some pitching props that we are getting. Typically speaking, we are hammering the hitting fantasy score props. Today, we're actually getting some pretty good pitching props. We typically never get this, where both the Vegas line is over the Prize Picks line, and also the projection data is over. Now, the projection data seems to be a little bit more aggressive than the Prize Picks line. I'm assuming that that's because the projection data is factoring in a win or a quality start as well. Whereas with the Prize Picks line, we may or may not be getting that. So two really good lines, I would say there. Like, we never get this. And maybe that's going to be the theme for playoff baseball, because you guys will see here in a second that the hitting fantasy score props that we typically get that are awesome ones to target, we're not getting those. So we'll take a look at the top one, the pitching fantasy score prop. We can see over the last 3 games, he's been able to get the over. And now what I find interesting about this one is that we look at the game log here, and DraftKings, just as an FYI, it's not correlated like it would for really any other sport, ML or NFL, NBA. What I want to see here is innings pitched, and so he hasn't been going that deep in the game. So I would say really what this is telling us is that he is going to pitch 5 innings. He's not going to give up too many hits. And another part of probably why the data is favoring this one is, I'll show you guys another prop here. Go to the Prize Picks prop. We'll see Corbin Burns is actually favored for over his earned runs. So maybe there's a little bit of a correlation there that we could maybe even stack there. It's basically telling us that, well, maybe the Brewers lose is kind of what this is suggesting there. Corbin Burns struggles. Brandon is able to get a quality start and maybe even win. Probably not a quality start. Maybe we're just looking at a win there. Do you really want to bet on that? It's tough. Let's look at the other one. So the other one, we got Jordan Montgomery. We'll take a peek at him. What sucks about this one, if you wanted to use it, obviously you'd have to wait until the afternoon tacos. Hopefully this doesn't get bumped, but we can see much better in terms of hitting it recently. I feel like he's going to give us a good chance at getting it. Like, we don't have to worry about him. It's always a worry with pitching props and whatnot, but we don't have to worry about him getting shelled too much. Like, there is a consistency there that we can see. So I'm pretty okay with this one. It sucks. I view this as probably the best prop that we're getting today, and we can't use it with the first taco. Unfortunate. It is what it is. Use that for the afternoon tacos. Let's go ahead and take a peek at some other props. So we're going to get into the hitting fantasy score ones, guys. And like I mentioned, not as good as I would typically like. Okay, so the threshold that I typically like to look for is going to be a prop where both the Vegas line and projected line are over the Prize Picks line. We are not getting that currently. We're getting some okay ones though, and these lines are lower. So we have Vlad for over 6 for Prize Picks score. I'm okay with that. Kyle Schwarber as well, over 6. Marte as well. Like, these are all decent ones. And if you want to roll with them, by all means, you can do that. We are just seeing that the lines are going to be much more tight today than they typically are. So let's go ahead and take a peek just at the Prize Picks board. Once again, we are going to see some okay props. Corbin Burns is really going to be the best EV bet that we are currently getting. We go to the discrepancies, see if there's any big discrepancies out there. And I would say yes for shots attempted. Like, if you wanted to use these, by all means, you could. So we do under for the first one, over for the second and third one here, just where we're getting some decent discrepancies between Prize Picks and Underdog. Then, as always, worth calling out, these first two are going to get corrected probably by the time this video is uploaded. It's just, you know that. This Trevor Lawrence one is interesting. I don't really like him this week, but we are getting a big prop line difference between Underdog, between the projection data, and between the average sportsbook line. That is one that's going to be adjustable. We can still see only a 52% or so chance for that one to hit. I do just want to talk about some of the props that are out there. I was hoping Sam Howell's line started up at like 230. I was hoping that would still be there. They have since moved that. Why did I like that? It's because of the good matchup against the Chicago Bears. We just saw Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson has looked good this year, but we just saw him maybe have his best game of the year thus far. Sam Howell just played pretty well against Philly, and you can see 2 out of 3 games he's been able to get the over. And what's the takeaway out of his 4 games, I guess, thus far this season? Cardinals are a little bit better than we thought. defensively. Denver, really easy. Philly, actually kind of easier as well. Chicago is going to be another easy matchup. So I would say we could still probably bet the over there. And if you want to stack him with someone, yeah, Terry's got bumped up a little bit there at 60. I still think we could potentially do that. I probably would want to look at Jahan Dotson if we get that as well. But both of those are going to be pretty solid. And then from there, just looking at the other props that we are currently getting out there, I actually don't mind the idea of Ryan Tannehill for over this passing yards. This seems low to me going against Indy, who has kind of struggled against the pass. Sure, it somewhat depends on if he gets Treylon Burks back a little bit. At the same time, there have been some big plays there that are either DPIs or they just miss. And I feel like this is a pretty good prop that we were getting. I expect this number to probably jump to maybe like 198 by Sunday. Like, this is just a good line. And it's weird. Ryan Tannehill has both given us the full Ryan Tannehill experience, but I feel like he's given us some extremely sharp passes that, like, probably because he needed to force them in there and like he typically wouldn't make those passes, but I don't know. He's delivered some really impressive throws thus far this season. So I think that's a pretty good line that we're getting. Jalen Hurts against the Rams over passing yards is one that intrigues me, especially at that low of a number. We look at some rushing yards ones. We're not getting that many good ones. We had Brian Robinson open up at 60, I believe it was, or maybe in 58. It was a very low number going against the Chicago Bears. That's one that's, you know, not terrible, but now it probably feels like we're forcing it a little bit. So if you are doing the Ryan Tannehill prop, you could potentially look at DeAndre Hopkins for over receiving yards. I'm actually curious as to what his fantasy score prop is going to be, because I feel like he's going to get some heavy receptions in this game. So that'd probably be the better bet later on this week. Then I do think it's weird. I feel like offensively, this could be a good get right spot for the star players, I guess, like Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Dak, just because it should be a close scoring game. And so like CeeDee Lamb for over receiving yards is kind of intriguing. Same thing with Brandon Ayuk. Like, if this game stays close, I kind of like maybe even game stacking that game. Like, I don't think that's a terrible idea. And then I feel like a lot of people are going to be baited into DJ Moore for over 3.5 receptions. I'm not saying that's wrong. It is kind of ugly. Really depends on how Justin Fields looks this week. They did the last week and a half or so, they did start to play call better for Fields, I would say, for what's going to make him successful. And that has led to a couple of easier passes for DJ Moore, although he was leaving DJ Moore out to dry on a bunch of receptions. So honestly, if that happens again, it wouldn't be shocking to see him like get knocked out of the game. Unfortunately, like, some tough passes there. So I do just want to talk about this one again with Vlad, just because it's interesting, because we have the hits runs RBI prop. Typically speaking, the reason why we're going with the hitting fantasy score prop is because we aren't getting a line like this. So it is fascinating to me, because like, think about it. If a walk is 2 points, I guess maybe he gets like a double and he gets there. Maybe a sack fly and 2 walk, but it almost feels like the better prop here would almost be the hits runs RBIs. Like, the only way he doesn't get the hitting fantasy score is if he gets like a double, or the only way he gets the hitting fantasy score prop without getting the hits runs RBIs is if he gets a double, he gets walked a couple of times. Yeah, I'd probably go hitting fantasy score. If he gets a hit and a run, that's still 6 anyways, but I feel like the hits runs RBIs makes more sense there. But then these would be the best prop bets that we are getting on the slate. Kyle Schwarber for over hitting fantasy score. I went with Vlad Guerrero for over hits, runs, RBIs. I know the Vegas data doesn't like that as much. It only is giving that about a 52% chance to hit. If you want to go with the hitting fantasy score, I'm fine with that. Jordan Montgomery pitching fantasy score, I feel pretty good about that. If you guys don't want to run this one out, this is probably the toughest one. But let's say he pitches 5 innings. That's 15 fantasy points right there, PrizePicks points right there. His line for pitching strikeouts is set at 4, which tells me they're pretty confident about it being at 4. So what is that? 12 points right there. That's 27. And so, yeah, it's tight. Like, if he gives up 2 runs, probably not going to get it. But also, maybe there's a win in there. It's a tougher one, but it's Taco Tuesday. The lines are typically tighter than they normally would be on any other day. And I do feel pretty good about this Ryan Tannehill one. And I swear, guys, every sharp line, it's felt like last week that I gave you guys that like literally was taken off the board or got bumped a significant amount. It felt like they didn't hit. Russell Wilson as an example, Josh Palmer as an example. Like, those were 2 that by lineup lock were like 60% likelihood to hit. Or they were just taken off the board because they were too good. Kind of feel like that's going to be Tannehill this week. Could completely be wrong there. And then this one was actually taken from the ODDSJAM Fantasy Optimizer. Once again, I am partnered with them. If you guys want access to their tool as well, by all means, go ahead and check it out. That's kind of the beauty of props betting, is that we're not really playing against each other or anything like that. It's just the best information we can possible to have a profitable day. Let's go for it. And the thing that I like is that it's giving us these combo props that we can roll with. So you can see some of these under ones that are kind of being favored there as well. But yes, that's going to be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. That helps out the channel a lot, keeps me being able to put out content for you guys. If you guys want access to that 9 to 5 PrizePicks cheat sheet and Underdog cheat sheet, is available for just $10 a month. Let's have a good slate today. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.